A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of News First Weekend, coming to you live from our News First studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudannayanka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Public protest against Talava police. IGP warns police officers on the importance of discipline. School is the safest place for children. A statement from the President marking Children's Day in Sri Lanka. No progress in work on Hambantota Port Development Project. 68th National Day of the People's Republic of China marked today. 60 years of bilateral ties with Sri Lanka. Lankan Airlines on the verge of setting a world record at the first test versus Pakistan.
In a world that seems to be increasingly cruel and dark, our children bring light and truth. Today marks Children's Day in Sri Lanka in celebration of this light.
Recent reported incidents on harassment and abuse of children highlight the fact that far greater attention needs to be paid to safeguard children in Sri Lanka. The abduction, rape and murder of Sivaloganathan Vidya and the murder of Seya Sadevmini underscore that in Sri Lanka, the problem of child abuse is not restricted by geographical boundaries. As we celebrate Children's Day in Sri Lanka, it is important to be mindful of the fact that 103,704 children continue to work as child labourers in this country. According to the latest reports of the Department of Census and Statistics, 87,854 of these children live in rural Sri Lanka. 2,321 children living in estates work as child labourers. 34,494 boys and 65,210 girls work as child labourers across the country. Quoting data from the Dutch research team, the BBC reported recently that about 11,000 Sri Lankan children were sold to individuals in European countries in the 1980s. Today is significant for Sri Lanka as it also marks the International Day for Elderly. Sri Lanka is unique as a lower middle income country as it has an aging population with 3 million elderly persons residing in the country at present. This number includes 257 centenarians.
The Ridhmasarya World Children's Day celebrations was held at the BMICH today under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena.
Performances by children living in Mahaveli houses, which come under the purview of the Urban Development Authority, added colour to the event. The level of safety of a child inside a school, at the classroom or at the school grounds is very high. There is sometimes a question whether our houses are safe for our children. On this World Children's Day, the spirituality of the society needs to be developed for the children. The verdict handed down to the murderers of the Vidya case is an important decision in this country. It is a historic decision, one that should be honoured. As parents of children, we must think with humanity on how we feel about such incidents.
News First and Kids First celebrated Children's Day at the Lake Gregory Park in Nuwara today.
The program was organised with the participation of children of families of war heroes and children with special needs, highlighting the importance of equal treatment for all children and to ensure an environment of normalcy. Children with special needs were encouraged to participate in the various activities with ordinary children. The program was steered by the siblings of the special needs children. These children were also recruited as Boy Scouts and Girl Guides. The program was a joint endeavour of Kids First and the Senehasa Foundation.
A meeting of United National Party activists was held in Hinguragoda today under the auspices of party leader Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. And speaking at the meeting, the Prime Minister commented on the country's economy.
We are in the process of building a strong economy. We are being asked how this is being done. Save the economy, create jobs. This is what we had to do during this time frame. During the first 2 years, we were trying to save the economy. We have created economic stability in the country, which has enabled us to pay off our debts through our income. We will pay off the largest debts by 2020 and by 2025. No one will have any issues. It has been 2 years since we came into power, and we have been able to fulfill some of the requests that have been made. We have been unable to fulfill the requests of others. There is joy and frustration both.
Quoting Chinese Ambassador Yi Zhangliang, the Sunday Island newspaper reported today that the development of the Hambantota port has been stalled at the framework agreement stage.
According to the Sunday Island, when questioned on when the Hambantota port development project would be completed, Ambassador Yi Zhangliang had replied, "No progress." The framework agreement for this project to be operated as a public-private partnership between the Sri Lanka Ports Authority and China Merchant Port Holdings was signed on the 27th of July.
The agreement between the Chinese company and the Ports Authority comes into effect in 6 months. It can be implemented at any time within the 6 months. If it is to be annulled, it will be after 6 months. A month has lapsed now since the agreement was signed. There are certain legal matters that need to be concluded. There are tasks to be completed by the Finance Ministry to provide tax concessions. There are also tasks to be completed by the Public Enterprise Development Ministry and the Ports Authority. 99% of the work has been completed. There is no cause for doubt. Work at the Hambantota port will recommence with a new phase in the coming weeks.
As per the deal, China Merchant Port Holdings will own 69.55% of the shares of the Hambantota port, with the Ports Authority owning a stake of 30.45%. The agreement will be in the form of a 99-year lease, with the Ports Authority being given the option to repurchase all shares after 70 years. Under the agreement, 2 limited liability companies are to be established under the Companies Act in Sri Lanka as joint ventures or JVs. These are the Hambantota International Port Services Company and the Hambantota International Port Group Company. China Merchant Port Holdings would hold 85% of shares in the latter, established for handling terminal operations, while the SLPA would have control over 50.7% of the shares in the former for common user facility operations.
Preparations are being made to include new conditions to this agreement within this 6-month time frame. The land was not included in the agreement signed initially. Now they are trying to include the land too. We call on the government not to operate in secrecy. The Chinese corporation is preparing to secure all the land under this 99-year lease. If the government only adheres to the existing conditions in the agreement, there is no issue.
A delegation including Sarath Weerasekara, who participated in the current session of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, returned to the island today.
Activists of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna were present at the Bandaranaike International Airport to welcome the group. We attended 2 parallel meetings. They were highly successful. We thank everyone present here, including the media personnel, for showing us this respect. Many people spoke with her and Dr. Nalaka Godahewa and expressed their views. They were made aware of our situation. There will be more support in the future.
The foundation stone for the construction of the pavilion at the Agunukuna Palace public grounds was laid today under the auspices of Minister Mahinda Amaravira.
I have participated at UN meetings. Apart from the main conference, there are hundreds of committee meetings. There are committees for human rights, child affairs and women's affairs. There are discussions within these committees. At these committees, there are racists, there are separatists and various groups express their views. Those committees are just talking shops. Some record these conversations and publish them in Sri Lanka as news. These conversations are worthless.
2 people have been killed and 23 others injured in a bus accident in the Udaviharagal area in Haputale. Police said the accident occurred around 5 this evening. The deceased victims are aged 49 and 45 respectively, while the injured have been admitted to the Diyatalava hospital. Police said faulty brakes caused the bus to veer off the road and crash into the hillside. Residents of the Mahailu Palama area staged a demonstration against the police today for granting bail to the driver of a vehicle involved in a motor accident which killed 1 person. The residents who claimed the driver was granted bail before a broad investigation was conducted staged a demonstration obstructing the Thalawa Kakirawa road in Mahailuppalama, Anuradhapura.
A person was killed on Friday in a collision between an SUV and a motorbike in the Punchikulam area in Kakirawa. The driver of the SUV, who was arrested over the accident, was released on bail after being produced before the Kakirawa Magistrates Court yesterday morning.
We will not stop this protest until we receive justice.
The locals in the area launched their demonstration around 8 last night and obstructed the road till dawn today. Two female officers attached to the Kakirawa police who were passing through after ending their shift were prevented passage by the demonstrators. Tensions flared at the location upon the arrival of the Assistant Superintendent of Police of Anuradhapura. Officers of the Epologama and Kakirawa police stations were called to the scene to control the situation. The demonstrators dispersed after assurances that a fair investigation would be conducted into the incident.
A workshop was held in Kattukastota today to increase awareness of police regulations among police officers in the Kandy district. The event was held under the auspices of the Inspector General of Police.
The program to identify disciplined drivers in Kattukastota was held parallel to this workshop. Speaking at the event, the IGP commented on the transfers given to 65 police officers as a result of misplacement of the record books of the anti-corruption unit at the Kattukastota police station.
When important documents are lost, we must consider the harmful impact it will have on investigations, arrests and judicial proceedings. When investigations are undertaken, the law is equal to all. So the law must be enforced, even on the officers tasked with enforcing the law. There are rules on discipline within the police department. There is a code of conduct for the police. The law of the country applies to police officers too. So these rules and regulations must be followed and legal action must be taken against officers who are in violation. It does not matter who the officer is. What matters is the offence that has been committed.
The Sunday Times reported today that 10 years after it was set up as a budget airline, Sri Lanka is being liquidated. According to the report, the Auto General has closed its books and a final annual general meeting is to be held.
The Sunday Times quoted Sri Lankan Airlines CEO Surendra Ratwatte saying, "The Auditor General has closed the books. We have to get that approved, have a last annual general meeting and go into voluntary liquidation. That should happen fairly soon and the operator certificate will be transferred to Sri Lankan." Sri Lanka was brought under Sri Lankan Airlines in October 2016. According to the report in the Sunday Times, Ratwatte maintained that he couldn't have restructured two airlines at the same time. He also said Mihin competed with Sri Lankan on many of its routes and it was his decision to shut it down. Sri Lankan has now absorbed 120 of Mihin's employees, while 180 took a voluntary retirement scheme funded by the budget carrier. Last year, former Finance Minister Ravi Karnanayaka said the total accumulated losses of Sri Lanka from its inception in 2007 to January 2016 amounted to 17 billion rupees.
A new species of mosquitoes that transmit malaria has been discovered in Vanya and Manna. Director of the anti-malaria campaign, Dr. Hemant Herat, said the new species was discovered inside a well and at a bus stop.
Dr. Hemant Herat said a special investigation has been launched in the area in search of the mosquito larvae. The initial revelation on this mosquito species was made in January when the species known as Anopheles stevens was found in a well at Pesale on the Thalemena Islands. Eradicating this species of mosquitoes found in India is quite challenging. The species was discovered in Vanya while it was being eradicated in Manna. This year, 38 malaria patients have been reported in the country. Director of the anti-malaria campaign, Dr. Hemant Herat, said eradication programs have commenced in Vanya as well. There is not a single malaria patient in Vanya. There are no reported cases of malaria even among those who arrived in Vanya from other places. Therefore, there is no fear on the spread of malaria. However, we are working towards curbing the spread of the mosquito. This species live in and around towns. We diagnose a number of malaria patients who arrive in the country from abroad, and if this mosquito is present, there is a risk of the disease spreading. In the past, we saw the spread of disease in rural areas, but with this species of mosquitoes, the disease may spread in urban areas. The Minister of Health expressed his views following a party meeting in Berwala yesterday. The malaria disease cannot be found anywhere. A new malaria mosquito has been found. The Health Ministry is taking steps to curb the spread of this mosquito. The species had come from South India, but there are no reported Sri Lankan patients. There are only foreign patients. Sri Lanka was declared free of malaria by the World Health Organization in 2016.
Leslie Ranagala Mawata in Buralla was declared open by Minister of Megapolis and Western Development Patali Champika Ranawaka today.
A cost of over 52 million was incurred in the renovation of this road, which was carried out under the Megapolis Investment Development Project. Buralla will undergo major development over the next 5 years under the program to build houses for slum dwellers in Buralla, Colombo North and Maradana. We have taken measures to build 20,000 houses by 2020. Golface Green consists of 18 acres, but we have taken measure to build a 200-acre park in the port city next year for the million people residing in Colombo. Those who sold land to foreigners for commissions were there in the previous government, and they are in this government too. But we will end their era and take steps to make sure that the general public is able to enjoy all these benefits. When I was passing this way yesterday, I saw children playing cricket here. Cricket is a very popular game in Sri Lanka. The game which took the country to the world has collapsed today. We lose every match we play. This has happened because when they play in Sri Lanka, they lose. But when they play abroad, they score centuries. If they play for the country and made the country victorious, only then can we be proud of the country.
Speaking at an event held in Kandy today, JVP leader Anukumara Dissanayaka had this to say.
A thief can never punish another thief. Consider the bond scam. It was Ranil Wickremesinghe who appointed the governor of the central bank. He made a statement in parliament protecting Arjuna. When Arjuna Mahendran came before court, Ranil Wickremesinghe's battalion came forward to protect the thieves. Eventually, a presidential commission was appointed. Thereby, Ranil Wickremesinghe is the major thief in the bond scam. The plans were drawn up by Ranil Wickremesinghe. I challenge Mahinda Rajapaksa to say that it was Ranil Wickremesinghe. He cannot do it because they are all out on Ranil's bail. There are underhanded agreements in these political movements. We must change this political culture.
Another phase of the Samata Sevana program got underway in the Veeravilla area in Lunugambehera today under the auspices of Minister of Housing and Construction, Sajid Premadasa.
Roofing sheets were handed over to 30 families who live in thatched roof houses in the Veeravilla area in Lunugambehera. The minister has spent 14,25,216 rupees for this purpose.
The joint opposition started a new trend recently, where they went to Devalayas and smashed coconuts. They are cursing the country and perform rituals to destroy the government and the country. I would like to ask the people of the country, by doing various things to curse the country, who will be at the receiving end of all of this? Will it be the rulers? No, it will be the people. Recently, they started a vehicle parade to curse the country. They are under the impression that when the people of the country are facing tragedy, the government too will change.
President Maithripala Sirisena has instructed the Chinese company working on the Lotus Tower project to complete construction and hand over the project to the Sri Lankan government on the 31st of March next year. Shaman Chatilaka, the Director General of the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, informed Newsfirst that 70% of the work on the project has been completed.
The foundation stone for the $104.3 million Lotus Tower project was laid on the 20th of January 2012. The tower will primarily be used for television and radio transmission, ensuring uniformity in transmission across the country. The Sunday Times reports that upon completion, the tower will be able to accommodate 50 radio broadcasters, 20 telecommunication service providers and 50 television broadcasters. The first and second floors of the tower, located at 215 meters and 219.8 meters, are to be used for TV and radio broadcasting. President Maithripala Sirisena recently inspected progress on the construction of the tower. A final decision has not been reached on which government ministry will oversee the operations of the tower or on commercial uses. The TRC serves as the local regulator of the project, while the University of Moratuwa provides consultancy services.
Grandiose flags raising ceremonies were held across China today to mark the 68th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. The Central People's Government of China passed a resolution on the National Day of China on the 2nd of December 1949 and declared that October 1st is a national day.
The National Day is celebrated throughout mainland China, Hong Kong and Macau, with a variety of government-organized festivities including fireworks and concerts. In Shanghai, the ceremony was held in front of the venue of the First National Congress of the Communist Party of China in 1921, the birthplace of the Communist Party of China. A grand flag-raising ceremony took place at Beijing's Tiananmen Square this morning. More than 100,000 people from across the country gathered at the square early in the morning to watch the ceremony. Issuing a message, Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Yi Jianliang, said 68 years ago today, the Chinese people, having fought tenaciously for more than 1 century, finally won the great victory of independence and became the masters of their own land. As this year also marks 60 years of diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and China and 65 years since the signing of the Rubber and Rice Pact between the two nations, Ambassador Jianliang in his message said, China and Sri Lanka are good neighbors, good friends and good partners. We firmly support each other on issues concerning each other's core interests and major concerns. The ambassador added, China respects Sri Lanka's choice of development paths in line with its own national conditions and will support Sri Lanka's efforts to safeguard its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Ambassador Jianliang said, China will continue to encourage Chinese companies to invest in Sri Lanka, actively participate in the projects like operating ports and industrial zones, agriculture, infrastructure construction, as well as assessing and manufacturing industries, and jointly foster new economic growth point of bilateral cooperation.
And in sports news, Sri Lanka in trouble in the first test versus Pakistan, with the visitors tottering at 69 for the loss of 4 wickets at stumps on day 4 today. Pakistan amassed a first innings total of 422 runs before being bowled out today. But that's a look at this Sunday's edition of Weekend Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great week ahead of you. Good night.